I'm Lawrence Owen, and this is Sportscaster News. So Jimmy Garoppolo speaks out on how Jalen Hurd will make his quarterbacking job a lot easier. He came out and talked to the press and said Jalen is very raw. He's really explosive and powerful. There's so many little technique things. I guess you could say he hasn't even learned yet, but he enjoys learning it. That's one of the main things I like about coming out here. When you get to talk about stuff, you can see he's eating it up, taking it all in. And then he goes out and does it. When you have a guy like that, it makes quarterbacking a lot easier. Now, they're going to need Jalen. Now, the question that I have, is Jalen Hurd that important to not only Jimmy's success, but the San Francisco 49ers in general? Let's look at his stats from last year. By far, in a way, last year was Jimmy Garoppolo's best season in the NFL. I mean, he threw for 4,000 yards, had 27 touchdowns, about 8.5 yards per attempt, which is pretty darn good, by the way. He had a 75-yard play for a touchdown. Over 69% completion percentage. Over 69% completion percentage. Now, what does that mean? That means that he used the heck out of guys like his running backs, like Kittle, like Deebo, like Sanders, who's no longer on the team. He used the heck out of them in short, quick routes and allowed them to create after the catch, working off that play action. Because, quite frankly, last year, they were a run-heavy team offensively. Now, question is, does he need better receivers to be better? Does he have enough receivers, enough different types of receivers to be successful and get the Niners past that hump? Now, they went to the Super Bowl last year. What was he missing mostly? Well, a lot of you might say, well, he was missing his receivers completely, by overthrowing them for touchdowns. Yeah, I could see that, but I'll tell you what, it wouldn't have mattered if he had Hopkins, Evans, Jones, Thomas. Wouldn't have mattered if he had all four of those guys on his team. If you cannot get the ball to your receiver in an area where they can catch it down the field, it doesn't matter who's on your team, right? Now, he had a 69% completion percentage. So his accuracy isn't actually the problem. I think the big stage, that the big picture kind of shown him a little bit, made it difficult for him. He probably had a lot of stuff, butterflies in his stomach. It was the Super Bowl. That was that run. But Jalen Hurd brings something else to the team that Deebo does not have, that Brandon Aiyuk, that they drafted, does not have. He's that big-bodied 50-50 guy. I mean, you have George Kittle, but Kittle's just a tight end. Now, granted, when I say just a tight end, the best tight end in football, in my opinion, okay? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that guy out there in Kansas City is pretty darn good. But would you want someone who can play every aspect of the tight end position? Kittle is that prototype tight end player who could do everything. And you expect to do everything. And he's going to get paid to do everything, guaranteed. Now, Hurd, on the other hand, hoo-wee. Hurd is somebody who's going to have himself a time, right? I mean, dear Lord, 6'5", 230 pounds. That's a big body. He's got to learn to get a little healthy. He's got to learn to get out there and become more reliable. As Garoppolo said, he's got some stuff he's got to learn. He's got to be able to get these things down so that as a quarterback, Jimmy can rely on him when he throws him the football because he'll know where he's at. That just takes time. It takes a lot of repetitions between the two, throwing the football back and forth. But don't get me wrong. This offense is still going to go right through that offensive line and right through Raheem Mostert and Tevin Colman. That's what this team's identity is. It's going to continue to be this team's identity. Yes, they lost one of the best left tackles in the game, but they went out and got Trent Williams to replace. What a lucky break the Niners had in that situation, right? I mean, my goodness. They couldn't have had a better timing in that situation. So their offensive line does not take a step back, and they're able to continue with that power run game that they have to set up play action. Jimmy's gotten better and better as his careers went along. I mean, obviously he's had injury issues since he's been in San Francisco, but that doesn't mean a lot because last year he started all 16 games, showed that he could stay healthy and play, and he played really, really well. Between the 20s, he is an excellent quarterback. It's that red zone. And who do you go for in red zones? You go for your tight ends. You go for your big-bodied receivers. So, yes, Hurd is someone who needs to step up in red zone opportunities this upcoming season for San Francisco to be successful. Will they win games? Sure, during the regular season, they'll win games. But in the playoffs, they're going to come up against really good defenses and coachings that is able to take away certain players at a game. When you're in the Super Bowl and you're like, you know what, we're not going to let George Kittle stop us, and you put two guys, one over, one under, and Kittle just can't get the football, you've got to rely on guys outside of him, like Deebo Samuel, like Brandon Aiyuk, to get between the 20s, to move that football between the 20s. And then when you get inside the red zone, especially inside the 10-yard line, it's those big-bodied guys. It's those guys that you throw that fade route to the back corner of the end zone, you know, like Jalen Hurd, like Kittle. Those kind of routes are your money balls in the NFL inside that red zone position. Hurd's going to have to step it up, and Garoppolo's going to have to get his timing down with him in order for San Francisco to take that next step and win themselves a Super Bowl. I'd like to take a moment to thank everybody here that's watching on Sportscaster. That includes Nathan, Cowboys Love Richard, Behind the Ball Sports, and JGirl123. Nathan asked, maybe they signed Brown. If you're talking about Antonio Brown, I seriously doubt it, considering right now he is in the situation. He's got legal things. He's got to go. He just got done with dealing with some delivery guys, and he's got a bunch of community work that he's got to do. He's got a psych eval he has to go through. I don't know if he'll be able to play right now. And you got to remember, Antonio Brown's a great wide receiver, or was. But you got to think, Antonio Brown, he's another little guy, like Brandon Aiyuk. Granted, he is excellent little guy, but he's still a little guy. And Jimmy Garoppolo needs the big guys like Hurd right now, because they got plenty of little guys on their team. Little quick guys like Deebo and Brandon Aiyuk. They need more guys like Jalen Hurd or Kittle A big, strong guy who could just force his way into a reception when needed. If you are watching here on Sportscaster, please, please, please hit that like button. Give me a follow. That way next time I go live, you will be notified. And if you're watching this upload on YouTube, check out the description below. Check out any extra information that I might have on this stream and possibly donating to my channel. And hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Don't forget the notification bell for when I go live there as well, when I go into my live talk, so that you can ask me questions. Be more than happy. We can have back and forth conversations with you guys. And share. Help a guy out, right? I love doing this. I love reporting on the NFL. I love doing it for Sportscaster as well. If you're watching on YouTube, man, come to Sportscaster. Make yourself a profile. All right? That way you can follow all kinds of people who are covering all sorts of sports, all the teams, specific players. Sportscaster's where it's at. They are the future of sports reporting. I want to thank everybody that's joined my stream here. I honestly believe Jimmy Garoppolo is going to do a great job this upcoming season, as long as he lets himself settle down and relies on the guys who are open. Hit your open guys. Make sure, obviously the run game's going to be there. The run game is still going to be there because they got Trent Williams to take over the guy that retired. They still have Coleman. They have Mostert. So that run game is going to be there. They're going to have Kittle blocking as well. Hurd, like I said, big guy, should be able to block in the run game as well. I think that's going to be the bread and butter of this offense. But obviously, in order to be a fully successful team, you're going to need to be able to go off of that run game and use play action pass. And even though his percentages are there, completion percentages, his red zone needs to be improved. If he can successfully get that up a little bit, I think Jimmy Garoppolo and then in turn the San Francisco 49ers could be a team again to watch out for this upcoming 2020 season. Thank you again for watching. I'm Lawrence Owen for Sportscaster News, and as usual, I want you to have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.